Coming up on State of Events, former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin is on trial for the murder of George Floyd.
April is Autism Awareness Month, and next on State of Events, we dive in to this conversation about this disorder. Hello, and welcome to State of Events. I'm Tyler Greene.
And I'm Nuri Ahmad. Thank you for joining us. As of Monday, March 29th, the trial for former police officer Derek Chauvin, who is charged for the murder of George Floyd, has officially begun. Reporter April Scott has the latest story on what has been happening within the trial and what's to come.
After just 10 months since the death of 46-year-old George Floyd, the anticipated trial of Derek Chauvin had begun. Chauvin is charged with second- and third-degree murder, as well as second-degree manslaughter. This was a case that sparked a worldwide movement against police brutality and systemic racism. Day one of the trial began with an opening statement from prosecuting attorney Jerry Blackwell and defense lawyer Eric Nelson.
That Mr. Chauvin is told that they can't even find the pulse of Mr. Floyd. You can believe your eyes.
The evidence will show that Mr. Floyd died of a cardiac arrhythmia that occurred as a result of hypertension.
Day two of the trial, about 5 bystanders who were present on the scene began to testify in court. Bystanders such as Genevieve Hansen, an EMT who was off duty on a walk when she witnessed Floyd pinned under Chauvin's knee, Donna Williams, who had his 911 call played for the jury, and Darnella Frazier, who videotaped the viral video and testified off camera due to her age.
I stayed up apologizing and apologizing to George Floyd.
Day three of the trial continued with more witness testimony, such as Charles McMillan testifying in tears on the witness stand. Jurors then viewed body cam footage from the arrest of Mr. George Floyd. Day four became another intense emotional day in the trial as Floyd's girlfriend Courtney Ross testified that the couple had both struggled with opioid addiction.
I got addicted and tried really hard to break that addiction.
Day 5 wraps up the trial week with Sergeant John Edwards, who secured the scene after Floyd was taken by the paramedics. The trial is set to continue for the next few weeks as we hear more from another line of witnesses and the Minneapolis police chief later on next week. Reporting from State of Events, I'm April Scott.
With the Beijing Olympics around the corner, the White House has not made any final decisions on sending the U.S. to compete amidst concerns over China's human rights violations. More on the story is Alexis West.
In Beijing, China, the Olympic organizers have started looking at outdoor venues. Meanwhile, if you go more northwest, you will find over 1 million Uyghur Muslims who are being forced into concentration camps and being tortured. Although the Winter Olympics are being held in 2022, the Biden administration is under escalating pressure to boycott sending Team USA to compete because of China's human rights abuses. Xinjiang is home to about 11 million Uyghurs, who are mostly a Muslim Turkic minority group. China's President Xi Jinping visited Xinjiang in 2014 in the wake of a terror attack by Uyghur separatists. Shortly after, according to documents leaked to the New York Times, he told local officials to respond with, quote, absolutely no mercy. The events following have led to a genocide where they are being brainwashed and the women are being raped and sterilized. Due to China's strict restrictions on journalists and the fear many Uyghurs have coming forward about their experiences, it's been difficult to find victims who can tell their stories. However, many women have come forward anonymously to share the terrifying truths about what is happening in China currently on social media platforms.
Ой, кейін азкен көре беріп, бізге әдет оқшаш мандақлар, нұмқымады, жүрек ағырмайдығы маштақлы болып қалдық. Я көш әмәс, я тірек әмәс. Я аштақлар, біздің аштақлы болып. Аштақ дарылан беріп, уколлан сеп аштақ қып қойды.
On February 3rd, a coalition of more than 180 human rights groups issued a letter calling out world leaders to boycott the Games in Beijing. They argue that this would send a message to confront the horrors in China.
Days later, Canadian lawmakers voted and declared the treatment of the Uyghurs as genocide, just as the Biden administration has done. Australia and Canada are two other countries who are debating boycotting. Florida representative and lead sponsor of a House resolution, Michael Waltz, is urging for us not to attend. He said, "I can't imagine giving Beijing this global platform to whitewash everything that's going on. It's unethical, it's immoral, it's just disgusting what's happening."
Any final decision is up to the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee, who doesn't seem to be leaning towards boycotting or entertaining the idea. This is Alexis West for State of Events. Back to you guys.
You can't scream pivot on this one. A massive cargo ship carrying nearly $10 billion worth of international commerce blocked the Suez Canal on March 23rd. The Ever Given vessel was struck by a strong southern wind, causing it to turn sideways. With at least 360 ships waiting behind, the blockage cost global supply chain $400 million worth of goods per hour. But after 6 days of tugging and maneuvering, the Ever Given has been refloated with the help of high tide and rescue operators. Though the vessel is moving, consumers are to experience shipping delays and shortages on supplies.
Well, Bay Area citizens, there is some hope after all. Santa Clara, San Francisco, and Marin counties are all moving towards the orange tier. Now, what does this orange tier mean? All it means is that most indoor businesses can increase their capacity. Wineries, breweries, and distilleries can reopen indoors at 25%. Bars are able to reopen outdoors. And non-essential offices are allowing employees to return to work. However, remote work is still recommended for these businesses. The drop in cases is due to the availability of the vaccine as well as public awareness. Now, for more info in the drop of cases, we have Dr. Grant Colfax with the San Francisco Department of Public Health.
We're averaging just 31 cases of COVID-19 a day. That compares to 374 cases a day in this last winter surge.
With State of Events, I'm Tyler Greene.
April is Autism Awareness Month, and the conversation of autism spectrum disorder has shifted within the past few years. Reporter Sophia Roger has more on the conversation.
Thank you, anchors. Another month of spring has sprung, yet it is also another month of discussion for the autism spectrum disorder. A discussion has arisen within the Autism Society of America about whether or not to change the name Autism Awareness Month to Autism Acceptance Month. The reasoning for wanting this change is to step away from the stigma that has been placed with autism and grow more acceptance and understanding rather than, in quote, being aware. We first sat down with Rose on her experience with her son Justin, where 10 years ago there was more of a stigma.
Getting an education for him and trying to get him through the system was a brutal slice of quite frankly, hell. We couldn't get the classes he needed. We couldn't get the instruction he needed. They would call us up from the schools and say, you have to just come pick him up because we don't know what to do.
Though the stigma is still being fought, there are more discussion points being held across. One of these discussion points is person-first language and whether or not it is considered harmful and should instead be changed to identity first. An example of person-first language would be the individual with autism. An example of identity-first language would be the autistic individual. Every person we have talked to has a different take, from those with autism to their parents to the founders of organizations that specialize in these resources. We are now showing statements that we have collected from different individuals on the spectrum to see where they stand. Coming up in the month, we will be interviewing Nava Paskowitz-Asner, founder of Camp Ed at the Ed Asner Family Center. Stay tuned.
Next on State of Events, Six Flags announces plans to reopen rides this spring.
Find out after the break, all you fellow graduating Gators, about the info on our graduation.
They say this is garbage. Useless. Out of style. They say that this is obsolete. Half forgotten, twice replaced, and then some. You are the re-originator. An innovator. The treasure hunter. Master of uncharted territories and pioneered ideas. A voyager. No doubts to break outside the boundaries. You have no boundaries. You have the power to shatter the mold. You. To reshape the rule. A new class. New norm. There is no norm. You're the breath of a new revolution. And they say that this is secondhand.
Grab those caps and gowns. Graduation is just over a month away. From virtual tassels to Instagram filters, State of Events reporter Clarissa Gonzalez has the breakdown on Commencement 2021.
This week on State of Events, we've got all the grad info you've been waiting for. In partnership with the SF State Commencement Office, I'm State of Events reporter Clarissa Gonzalez with the latest on your 2021 Graduator Breakdown. This year's commencement ceremony is set to air later this spring, May 21st, 2021. The event will be commemorating the hardworking graduating classes of fall 2020 to spring 2021 school year and will be aired via digital streaming app. To download the app, head over to your app store and search for SFSU 2021. The application includes an array of amenities, including a countdown on the front page, a Meet the Graduates tab, and a social wall. In collaborations with Hef Jones, Graduation Regalia is finally available on the SFSU commencement page. Place your orders by April 23rd for guaranteed delivery by May 21st. Now, Regalia is not required for the virtual ceremony, so if you'd rather opt out of a cap and gown purchase, well, we've got the perfect solution for you. Keep an eye out for the Class of 2021 Instagram filter, created by the Facebook app. The filter has a variety of gown and tassel options and will become available during the graduation season. As it stands, there are no known in-person ceremonies, but don't be discouraged. There is one on the horizon for the classes of 2020 and 2021. State of Events sat with President Lynn Mahoney, who ensures plans are in the works for a future in-person celebration.
And ask things like, would you come back to San Francisco for one big Oracle celebration? Or would you actually prefer that San Francisco State takes the show on the road and does something closer to where you're living?
Be sure to tag all your graduation photos with hashtag SFSU 2021. And for the latest graduation updates, check out the SF State Commencement website or follow SF State on Twitter and Instagram. Until then, I'm gonna go practice my walk across my living room stage. In San Francisco, I'm Clarissa Gonzalez. Back to you in the studio.
New heights have been charted once again in Silicon Valley. As of March 29th, Visa Incorporated becomes the first major payment network to allow the use of stablecoin cryptocurrency, USD coin, to settle transactions. The USD coin will be valued to the fiat currency US dollar, enabling Visa customers to shop at any 70 million Visa merchant around the world with a crypto wallet. Weeks earlier, Visa CEO Al Kelly comments on the company's acceptance in digital currency.
Yeah, we want all people to be in the financial mainstream, and we're going to continue to do everything we can to enable that to happen.
Visa's capability in bridging digital and fiat currencies made possible after piloting with leading crypto exchange platform Crypto.com. Completed USD coin transactions will be sent to Visa's digital bank partner, Anchorage, via Crypto.com.
If you or someone you know is between the ages of 50 to 64, getting the COVID vaccine before April 15th is vital. Tanya Romero tells us why.
California is opening doors to all adults to receive the vaccine on April 15th. Just 2 weeks before the 50 to 64 age group is eligible. What does that mean? Over 7 million people in that age group should book between April 1st to April 15th, if those time slots aren't already available. Dr. Paul Simon, Chief Science Officer for the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health, said, "There will likely be a rush. I want to make sure the public recognizes that there may be challenges to getting an appointment immediately. It just, again, reflects the limited supply of the vaccine. Trouble with technology, transportation, and other barriers make it more difficult for the older adults to access these vital resources. Currently, 2 million vaccines are being distributed weekly, which means only about half of the people in that age group will have to rush to get it."
I'm glad that they're vaccinating the younger people, but I think the adult people should have more time to get vaccinated, at least another 2 weeks, just to be safe.
According to NBC Bay Area News, only 23% of the people in the 50 to 64 age group has received at least the first dose of the vaccine. Now, of course, it's not the end of the world if you don't get to book your appointment by April 15th, but once all of the young adults are able to book it, the wait will be longer than it already is. To make sure you get your appointment, go to myturn.gov. I'm Daniel Romero, San Francisco State of Events.
With summer approaching fast, you may be wondering, what counties are opening up for vaccinated tourists? Reporter Farrah Walton has more on this next.
Summer is nearing, and that means more people are going to start traveling internationally. Some countries, including European ones, are beginning to welcome tourists who have received their COVID-19 vaccine. Other countries are planning to ease travel restrictions by the summertime. Eduardo Santander, chief executive of the European Travel Commission, stated, "Finally, we have a tangible solution to coordinating and harmonizing travel measures. Travelers must complete a digital travel certificate proving that they have either been vaccinated, tested negative for the coronavirus, or have antibodies." The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention recommend against travel for everyone, including those vaccinated. Traveling at this time increases the chance of contracting and spreading the virus. Dr. Rochelle Walensky, head of the CDC, is urging Americans to quote-unquote hold on a little longer.
We do not have the luxury of inaction. For the health of our country, we must work together now to prevent a fourth surge.
Some of the countries open to those with the COVID vaccine are Belize, Iceland, and Ecuador. Greece and Hawaii are planning on letting vaccinated tourists come beginning in May. I'm Farah Walton, San Francisco State of Events.
Well, Nuri, now that counties are opening up, what county are you looking forward to visiting the most?
Well, Tyler, I am excited to visit Marin County. I miss hiking and I just want to see the wildlife that the National Park Service had preserved throughout the pandemic. How about yourself?
Well, I live in LA County, so bars and restaurants are opening up, so I can go get drinks and dinner with a friend. Or I can even visit an amusement park.
Well, lucky for you, I have just the story for that. Starting this month, California theme parks are now able to reopen under the new state guideline. One of the parks now back open is Six Flags Discovery Kingdom in Vallejo. State of Events Austin Castro is live at the park now with how your experience might be a little different. Austin, how's it looking out there?
Hey Nuri, we are here at the park entrance, which just opened within the past hour. We spoke to several guests who couldn't be more excited to be back on the rides after over a year. They'll notice many changes the park has made to keep everyone here safe.
After a year that has felt like a roller coaster, California residents can now ride a real one. 10 of them to be exact, at the newly reopened Six Flags Discovery Kingdom. The Vallejo theme park is back open with rides under new state guidelines.
We're incredibly excited. You know, this is a day that we've been looking forward to for a very long time. It's been more than a year since we've been able to have rides operating for our guests.
Some things will look different, including new temperature checks, touchless bag scanners, and social distance markers.
The park wants visitors to know that face coverings are required all throughout the park, including on the ride. We're here on the jump train. As you're about to see in a second, these rides are just as thrilling, even with all the new changes.
Under the state's red tier, the park is able to operate at 15% capacity.
It's pretty exciting. I'm really glad that they were able to get open. I'm hoping to get on some rides today.
I'm kind of a chicken, so I haven't missed the major rides, but honestly, I missed the water ride, and I miss seeing all the characters and just the whole experience.
One guest we spoke to was eager to return for a different reason.
Being a service dog handler, I think it's training opportunities, and especially I have a new puppy. We're training a lot. You know, this guy's a little rusty.
Back out here live, we are seeing guests continuing to come through the front gate. An important note, if you are planning on visiting, make sure to get a reservation on sixflags.com. They are required to enter the park. Reporting live from Vallejo, Austin Castro, State of Events.
Coming up after the break, find out if you're qualified to get a sweet treat from Krispy Kreme.
A country under attack, thousands fleeing their homes. One of our State of Events reporters has more details on this tragedy. Thousands have fled their home, and international analysts are calling it a major humanitarian catastrophe. Next on State of Events, Claire Brennan covers the terrorist attacks in northeastern Mozambique.
Al-Shabaab, an Islamic State insurgent group, is militantly claiming territory in Mozambique's Cabo Delgado province, where gasoline deposits were recently discovered. Buildings across the town of Palma have been set aflame. Both civilians and government officials are being targeted. Last week's attack left dozens dead, and according to the United Nations, about 670,000 people have fled their homes.
And they are now being forced to leave those areas to go somewhere else very far from home, where they cannot speak the language, they don't understand the culture, and they are some sort of outsiders.
Since the beginning of the insurgency, at least 2,600 people have been killed, according to E! News Channel Africa. Though experts say Al-Shabaab is not closely affiliated with the Islamic State's organization in the Middle East, ISIS is taking credit for last week's ambush on the city of Palma. They have also been supplying resources and training rebel forces in Africa. Several weeks ago, President Biden officially designated Al-Shabaab as a terrorist group, and U.S. Army Green Berets have been sent to Mozambique to train forces. Signing off, this is Claire Brennan with your latest in international news.
Take a pause from scrolling your smartphone and hop on the reading train. The San Francisco BART agency installed a touchless short story kiosk for its riders. BART partnered with Short Edition, the company that makes short story dispenser, printing microfictions of 1, 3, and 5 minutes reading time on recyclable paper receipts. Currently, the kiosks are available at 3 stations, Richmond, Fruitvale, and Pleasant Hill, and has dispensed a total of 730 stories from the machine to date. Media Relations Manager for BART, Jim Allison, comments that BART will not only be a place to catch trains, but also art.
What we are trying to do is to encourage people to think a little bit more. This is something that might spur someone to think about the universe in a larger way.
With a 4th kiosk coming to Montgomery Station, Allison hopes to have riders return to BART and enjoy the newly installed amenity.
Transgender rights have entered the political field involving sports, as the Fairness in Women's Sports Act has been passed in several states banning transgender athletes from participating in sports. We look to the skateboarding community in Oakland to see how they have been pushing boundaries and creating a safe space where everyone can join in. More from Blake Winter on this.
A transgender restriction law banning transgender women from participating in sports was passed last year in Idaho. The 26 states we see here highlighted have passed similar bills. Federal District Court currently suspends the laws. We look to the skateboarding community in Oakland to see how they have created a safe space for everyone. Jeff Chung created Unity Skateboards, the first queer transgender skateboarding company. Unity is much larger than a company, but a safe space for individuals to come together without judgment.
In high school, I felt like I could be in skating as long as I didn't say anything about me being gay. After coming out, I started to grow apart from skating even though I loved it. Other queer and trans people, many of them don't even start to begin with because they never feel like they've ever belonged in the first place. There really hasn't been any queer or trans representation in skating, and I felt like we needed to create that space for us. Last June was like the first queer skate day. There were so many people that showed up.
Thank you. This is Blake Winter, State of Events.
The nominations are in with Academy Awards approaching. State of Events reporter Soat Valazi gives us the full rundown of Best Picture nominee Minari and leading actor Steven Yeun.
It's the most anticipated season of the year, and I'm not talking about spring. It's award season and the Oscars are right around the corner. The nominations were announced just last week, and the biggest story has to be Best Leading Actor Steven Yeun and Best Picture Minari. Steven Yeun, best known for his role in The Walking Dead as Glenn, has hit stardom following his role in Korean film Minari. The film follows a Korean family's move to Arkansas in search of their own American dream.
흑색깔 때문에.
미국에서 가장 기름진 땅이야.
The film was produced by independent entertainment company A24, and unlike most of their famous releases, such as Midsummer, Hereditary, and Saint Maud, Minari is more of an art house love story rather than a paranormal horror epic. As for Steven Yeun, his acting, and even more so his silent acting, where he let his emotions dance across his face without uttering a single line, was gripping. Hollywood has a tendency to portray depictions of trauma, at times horrific, regarding Black and people of color. However, with Minari, there wasn't a time where Asian trauma sought its way onto the screen. And today's spike of Asian American hate crimes, it's refreshing to see an Asian family just be that, a family. With State of Events, I'm Sawad Balazi.
If you have a sweet tooth and a zeal to heal, Krispy Kreme Donuts has a treat for you. Here's reporter Corinne Titus to tell us more.
As you can see, I'm here live at Krispy Kreme, where donut enthusiasts are eligible for a free donut daily for the remainder of the year. All you need to do is provide proof of vaccination with your COVID card. COVID-free customers like Summer Smith are excited about the new promotion.
I think it's amazing that Krispy Kreme is doing this. I chose to get my vaccine because I wanted to protect my health.
Happening at all Krispy Kreme locations in the U.S., you will receive one glazed donut. Valid COVID-free patrons can get their single dose of donut anytime, any day, even if it's every day. Krispy Kreme is also showing their support for healthcare workers and volunteers who are administering the vaccine. At select vaccine locations, Krispy Kreme team members will deliver them donuts for free. Even though this sweet promotion is encouraging people to receive their COVID shot, Michael Tattersfield, who is the CEO of the donut franchise, is facing backlash. People like Stephen Colbert took their opinions to Twitter, saying that the promotion is controversial, as it caters to obesity, which is common in 42.4% of Americans. Krispy Kreme is offering free donuts to anyone who's been vaccinated, which is great news for anyone who got the shot but still has a death wish, said Colbert. In a Yahoo interview, Tattersfield defended the vaccine promotion.
For another that was highlighted during the pandemic, the obesity crisis in America.
We're a sweet treat company, and if folks don't want to visit a donut shop, they don't have to.
If you have not received your COVID shot yet, don't worry, you can still get your hands on a delicious free donut. Also, every weekend through May 23rd, if you buy a dozen donuts at regular price, you'll receive an additional dozen donuts for $1. In San Francisco, California, I'm Corinne Titus, State of Event News.
Well, that concludes this week's episode of State of Events. It's been a pleasure. I'm Nuri Ahmad.
And I'm Tyler Greene. Don't forget to check out stateofevents.net for all of these stories. And I'll catch you later, Gators.